Hello, today's demonstration is about drips or doing drips, calculated drips. So, what are drips about? Drips are about letting paint do what paint wants to do. So, kids do this all the time. They're comfortable with it, doesn't bother them. Somewhere, usually around fourth grade, we're told things need to be perfect, and drips probably go out the window. So, drips can be used to create a sense of movement in a piece. They're exciting. And so we're going to let drips do what they want to do. It brings in an element of chance, the unknown, experimentation. So I've got a small canvas here, 8 by 10. I'm going to put some lines on this just so when my drips cross, maybe some of this charcoal will bleed a little bit. So this is experimentation. And you don't have to do this, but I'm just adding another element here. So there's charcoal. I'm going to use this chalk ink that Tasha gave me. And I'm hoping it's water soluble. I'm hoping maybe the drips will do something with that. And then I'm going to bring in my water soluble graphite stick that we haven't really used that much yet, but I hope to in the future. So I'm going to make some marks with that. Okay, so drips. I need fluid paint in order to do that. So I can use, I think it's a high flow. I can't read it anymore because the label's been, yeah, it's a golden high flow acrylic is a choice. I could do acrylic ink, which is liquidy. I could also get a fluid acrylic in a bottle. That'll be a little bit thicker. And then if I don't have any of those, I'll show you how to make like a wash, fluid wash with regular acrylic paint. So I'm going to start with my big favorite Wooster wash brush, and I need water. So I'm going to dip that in water and not wring my brush out that much. I've already done it. Here's my fluid acrylic. Pick that up with my wash brush. I can already tell I need more water in there. I need it to be full, almost dripping. Okay, now what's tricky is on the screen, I'm going to have to tilt this. Ideally, you do drips on an easel because we need gravity, right? And I'm going to start at, I'm going to have this be my top, and I'm going to run my brush across the top. There we go, it's dripping, and let it drip. So we looked at Joan Mitchell's work, and it was large, and she probably didn't do calculated drip. Like right now, I'm trying to make it happen. It probably just happened in her work. But you can intentionally try to do it by, like if I go to the middle, like this section of my painting, I'm going with a smaller brush now. This is very awkward to do. Okay, there we go. Kind of doing it upside down. Can push on the edge of my brush a little bit, almost like a sponge. That paint is going to drip out. Okay, so over here in the whatchamacall, the colored graphite, it's starting to bleed and blend a little bit. I could get a damp rag. I'm going to incorporate some, I'm going to call it smearing because I like to say that word. With my damp rag, I can kind of manipulate a little bit of erasing and move that paint around. Same with the charcoal. So today it's really about play and experimentation. Same with the chalk paint. It's pushing it back. It's reducing it a little bit and blending. This is kind of fun. I can break up those drips. Here's the water-soluble graphite. That's pretty nice with the blue. Okay, I'm going to introduce another color now. I'm going to go for this phthalo green. I'm just going to keep going. And now what I'm going to try and do is do a drip over here. And as it drips into this wet area, I'm hoping the drips will bleed a little bit. So I'm working with different properties of paint. Okay, so here goes.
Laura, we're seeing it upside down.
So let me finish the video. It's actually right side up. It's just that I'm tipping it. I could tip it this way if that's better.
Yeah.
You're right. That's better. Okay. It's somewhat awkward because I haven't done this before. Ideally, you know, I'd be on an easel and I'd have a camera from another direction. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Here we go. Above this spot here. And I can add more water to that section. There we go. So now it's going to flow and bleed into that section. Again, I can come back with my rag and do my blending smearing. Okay, I can also, this is kind of fun, do with the back edge of my brush, I can do some Sgrafitto in there, which is going to make some interesting line work. And if you're nervous about doing this, you could use old canvases just to play with and practice it. Okay, I like this Sgrafitto and this green. It feels sort of grass-like. I can come back with my charcoal pencil and draw in the wet areas and smear that a little bit. The charcoal becomes like a paint. Okay, now I'm going to go, what if you have acrylic ink? You could just do it directly out of the dropper. It's very fluid. So I'm going to go over here. I like the way the paint is blending in with the other paint. Again, I'm choosing to smear a little bit. Kind of see a shape there, so I'm going to play with that. Here comes the Sgrafitto. All right, now I'm going to go for a thicker paint. As I spill the paint all over the tabletop. Okay, now I'm going to go for this. It's a fluid acrylic. It's not going to be like the high flow. So I've seen people do this, and then it's going to be probably more opaque. I personally don't tend to like thick drips, but some people do. So I'm going to try that. Actually, I'm just going to mix these two together. Add a little bit of water. I'm going to go in this section here. Yeah, again, pushing that brush almost like a sponge. Sorry, you can't see it. Okay, so that's a little bit thicker. Actually, I don't mind that at all. Again, directly mixing with this Sgrafitto. You don't have to do that. That's just my personal choice. Maybe adding some splatters, finer in there. I like that. Okay, now I think I'll come down in here I'm going to show you mixing a regular thicker paint to make it more fluid and adding it in. I'm going to go with the red, and I think I'm going to go with the manganese. So I have to make this more fluid by adding more water. I really need a new brush, a cleaner brush, but that's okay. All right, so liquefying this, I can't really tell you how much, enough that you feel like that's going to flow. Okay, here we go. That's still pretty thick. You can even tap your canvas down. If it's not flowing, add more water. Okay. And then again, if it's too thick or you want to take some of it out, that damp rag is a great tool for mixing. Actually, what's interesting here is taking away some of this paint, but I see these shapes from the other drips. So again, that's chance. I couldn't have planned that. Now the manganese. And you can play with paints that are a little more opaque, like the red is more opaque, same with the black. Everything else is pretty transparent. The manganese, you can see, if I can see through those lines on the golden tube, that means it's more transparent. So you could consciously decide, I'm only going to do transparent drips, or I'm going to do a combo. See what I get. Yeah, it's harder to work with the, it's easier if you have it already fluid paint. This will work, but I have to keep adding water. Kind of fun to break it up off the top where it started, because then it's a little bit of a mystery as to how that got there. Okay. You could also blot. I could pick up sections if I wanted to. This is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I like the Sgrafitto across the top to kind of soften and blend it in. And what I'm noticing that I like is there's energy to those drips. It's really, really fun. Okay, that's my lesson on drips. Drip away.